Now let's talk about Emily and Brennon. Child, Emily gonna be my problem child this season in Denver. I already know Emily. We're gonna have to do a lot of work with Emily, okay? And I don't know if she gonna make it through. And we're gonna say a prayer for Brennon because I don't know. So hey everybody, welcome back to the Brandy Yvonne channel. Of course, I'm your girl, Brandy Yvonne. Here on my channel, y'all know we do fun reviews, recaps, and discussions of all of our favorite shows. This video, we are talking Lifetime's Wednesday night show, Married at First Sight, down to the Denver, Colorado. This is season 17, episode 3, titled Hard Launch. Before we get into it, thank y'all for subscribing to the channel. We got some new subscribers. Shout out to y'all. Continue to hit that subscribe button. You can do that right now. You can also hit that thumbs up button. I would greatly appreciate it. Comment down below. Let me know who you think gonna make it this season, who you don't see it for. If you are enjoying these Married at First Sight reviews, catch the first 2 episode reviews plus the short I did talking about how Lifetime tried to play in our face with this Michael and that little fake reenactment that they did. So if you want to talk about that, comment down below because we could talk about it. Also share the video where you like to share your content. So let's get into the episode. So basically they picked up where we left off last week with Claire and Cameron getting married. Claire, her parents had to push her into the church or wherever they was getting married at. Anywho, I think they had physical attraction. It seemed like it. They did better than I thought they would because I didn't see it for Claire and Cameron. I didn't think she would be physically attracted to him. She said he's not really her type though. I think she said that in the after party, but yeah, she seemed like him. I didn't know Cameron was that tall. He's really tall, but Claire is only like 5 feet. I think she's 5 foot. I believe she said. Anyway, they did their vows. Cameron likes to ride bikes. He owned a bike shop. She said, I don't remember what she said in her vows, and it's really unimportant. But yeah, they seemed like each other. They kissed at the end. It was all good. Then we get to everybody's like reception. Cameron and Claire, they didn't have to sit out in the snow and talk. They got to talk in the building, thank God. I wouldn't sit out in no snow for no camera. No, you gonna let me be in the inside with the heaters. You crazy. Anywho, so they were kind of getting to know each other more, and he was explaining how he lives in the U.S. and all his family's in New Zealand. They couldn't come, and he was explaining how so the family he has in Denver, which is his chosen family, right? They are his mom's college roommates, neighbors, friends, something like that. I was like, what was that? That was a stretch, Cameron, okay? Now Claire asked Cameron, do your parents know about this? Are they okay with this? He said, the plan is to go to New Zealand and have another wedding ceremony. I said, Cameron, that don't answer the question. Are your parents good with this situation? Do they know you just got married down to the first sight? Because, see, they could not even see the show in New Zealand. They probably in New Zealand clueless that Cameron over there doing Married at First Sight. So anyway, I didn't like how he answered that question. She said her family's really big and her sisters are going to grill him. They're going to roast him. He was like, he looked a little scared, but he said he can handle it. He was asking about, somebody, it just seemed like someone had died, but he wasn't sure exactly what was going on because I think they had like a memorial or something. They had something to represent the brother that passed. And so she explained that she's a quadruplet and he was really shocked. And she said the brother, passed away, which we already knew, but she feels like he was there in spirit. She felt like he orchestrated the whole thing. Okay. I could imagine losing a sibling, especially like if you're a quadruplet and you lose one of them, like that's crazy. But that's got to be hard for the sisters, I'm sure, and the family. She said there's 6 kids total, so there's 2 more kids. And I believe on the after party, she said her oldest sister didn't come to the ceremony, but she did write her a letter in big support of her. She didn't want to be on TV and stuff, basically. That was pretty much all they talked about, I believe. Then we're basically got all of the receptions. The nice thing I did enjoy about seeing all of the receptions is that we got to see all the couples sit down and eat their food. Because at most weddings they're walking around, they don't get to enjoy themselves, they don't get to enjoy the food. So it was nice to see that the couples all got to sit down and enjoy their food. Now, we're not gonna go in no particular order, y'all, because they jump around from couple to couple to couple. We just gonna talk about the episode and wrap it up. So let's talk about, we'll just go couple by couple. I think that makes the most sense in my head. Let's talk about, let's finish talking about Claire and Cameron since we're already talking about them. So at the ceremony, we did see them stop and talk to Claire's grandma. This was somewhere towards the end, and just got wisdom from her. And she's like, "Oh, you guys can't talk to me because I'm the oldest person here." And they were like, "No, it's because you're the smartest." And so her advice, because she was married 60 years, her advice was not to argue, like not to go tit for tat, like, "Oh, okay, you didn't make dinner. Okay, you didn't do this. Okay, you didn't do that." Like not to be doing all that kind of stuff. And so she was like, because no one's perfect, have low expectations, and you'll be good. And so, and she just said, enjoy the process. So she supported the marriage. We did see the families talking to Cameron, and I think Claire was talking to one of Cameron's friends, and they were talking more about his family situation. He and her family situation. She said she comes from a big family, so like her sister's wedding had like 400 people. So for them, it's hard for them to like scale it back. We also saw them do their first dance, and she was really awkward, but he made her feel comfortable. Like he was really silly. He seemed very like confident. I wasn't expecting all this from Cameron. I said, "Okay, Cameron," and so she felt nervous and awkward, but he made her feel really comfortable. And they were sitting out eating, and he said he likes to go for bike rides and all that, mountain biking. She said she don't do all that, but she do work out. And they both agreed that they don't have to like the same things or do the same things. They want to have separate lives and live independently. And he liked what she said about that in her vows. And she didn't want someone who became, wrapped up into her. And he wants her to be able to do, she wants him to be able to do his own thing, and he wants her to be able to do her own thing. And they agreed upon that. And I think that's the healthiest way to relationship. Yeah, y'all have plenty y'all do together, but you ain't got to do every single thing together. You can do your own thing, right? You don't got to be like clinging to each other like for dear life and every single moment together, right? So he said, she gonna probably get tired of him being bike riding all the time anyway, being out bike riding. And so she said, she likes that he has his own hobbies, because if he didn't, that would be, a red flag for her, because she's been with a lot of guys in the past who didn't have their own thing going on, and they like cling to her, and then they kind of were codependent on her. And so she had to do like, a lot of emotional work with them and all that kind of stuff. And so he said, not to, no offense, but he said he could see that in her based on the type of person she is. And I was like, I think it's because, I don't know, my opinion, y'all, let me know if y'all agree or disagree in the comments. I think because she's a therapist, I think that's why it's easy, because she probably knows how to talk to people, make them feel comfortable, listen up. And then if somebody has their own thing going on, it probably is easy for them to cling to her. And she probably ends up being a fixer in relationships too much. I imagine that. So she's happy that he has his own thing going on. And he feels like he will be everything she needs based on, he was explaining to her, his family situation and how they've, given him so much, place to stay, a job and all that last 9 years. And he feels like he will be exactly what she needed based on what she said in her vows. She's like, well, how do you know I'm going to be with you? Like, you're going to be the one. He was real confident in himself. Speaking of Cameron's confidence, we do see him later on talking to the sisters. We see him talking to Claire's family and her sisters and everyone. He did say the mom really liked him. We saw him dancing with the mom. And so he was telling them that he did good in school. He got this. He didn't did that. He's already made a impression on the mom. So the sisters was like, oh, okay, so you good at this. You good at that. They's like, okay, go on, dust your shoulders off. And so then he was like, he didn't even know. He thought he had lint on the shoulder. Then he finally got it. Okay. And then at the end, I think we saw somebody drive them out on one of them little, I forgot what you call those things when somebody pull you on the bike in the like wagon thing. I forgot what it's called. We used to have those in the city I went to college, and I can't think of what it's called right now. Anywho, is it pedicab? It's something like that. Let's move on to Becca and Austin. I'm trying to do the boring ones first, y'all. Not that they boring, but they was a given, everything. So Becca and Austin, they were at the reception. They were talking about eating, talking about what they well, first we saw everybody taking pictures, and Becca said it was hard or uncomfortable or weird for her to be on the other side of the camera and posing for her wedding pictures because she's so used to taking the pictures, and she's trying to tell everybody how to pose, and she knows it. I was like, I wonder if her company, I mean, I know she ain't going to take the pictures because she's on the show and she wants to enjoy her day, but I wonder if she had any of the women who work for her doing pictures for her wedding, or if they let her, or if Lifetime allowed that. I was curious about that. Or were they all in her wedding so they couldn't do it? I was curious about that. Because I imagine she's going to be like critical if that's what she does. But anywho, she said in her confessional, there's 3, from a wedding photographer to a married person, the 3 things to do is make out with your man. When you're taking your pictures, make out with your man and have a cute husband, she said. So at the table, she said something about like, oh, she hopes that he like, she don't know. I guess somebody asked if he like tits or booty, and she was like, don't matter because he gonna get both. Okay, Becca said she thick with it. Then they're talking at his mom looked at that moment. I don't know if she really heard it. If that's how they cut it. Anyway, she was asking him, he was saying he was lost for words to say how he liked her in that dress. She was asking him, how does he dress outside of being dressed up? He said kind of like a skater guy that's not a professional skater. Becca said she actually dresses pretty much the same way, and they were shocked about how many things they have in common and all that kind of good stuff. Later on, we do see, her talking to his friends. She's talking to his friends. Her friends basically said, like, communicate clearly with her. She is really blunt. She's really upfront. But if you are, like, unsure about yourself or unsure about something, and then you try to present it to her, she's going to get very anxious. But sometimes she could be a little harsh with her words, just so she's blunt. And so she's not going to sugarcoat it, okay? And you know what I like about Becca? I really like Becca. She is, like, really the life of the party. Her personality shines through. Like, you wouldn't even know that she was dealing with all these medical issues that she explained. She says she does not drink, and I appreciate a person who can still have she looks like she's having the most fun in the room, and she is not under any influence. And then some people don't know how to do that, unfortunately. So I really, really appreciated that about Becca, and she's just a light. And so she lit up her wedding when she came in, and she's a person that's going to light up every room without sucking out the energy, okay? Because there's some people who come in the room and change the energy, and it ain't good, okay? So she was talking to his friends, and they were asking about her first impression of him, and she said she really likes him. And they were asking, like, are you gonna be the type that, like, girl, you wanna get it popping tonight, or what you gonna do? And she was like, she's pretty much open to see how things go. Austin's not a person that likes to rush into things. They say Austin likes to speak his mind as well. Becca's friends were telling Austin how, sex positive she is and how she's taught them some things. I was like, what Becca teaching? And so later on, they were asking, like, if they're going to get it popping. The girls were asking, what does she like about, she likes him or not. And she said she likes him. They have good chemistry. She said she wants to, like, cuddle and smooch and all that. But she's not sure about having sex because she doesn't feel ready because of her medical concerns. I don't blame her. Now, we have not we did not see her, I should say, tell him about her medical things yet. I wonder, will she tell it on the first night or the honeymoon? We don't know yet. That's the part I'm kind of looking forward to see how that's going to play out and how Austin receives that information. Okay. The mom seemed to kind of get into Becca. I don't know, though. We're going to watch her. On the after party, Austin did say, like, once the families kind of meshed together and the mom seen how much they had in common, she did kind of ease up. But we gonna see what happens. I feel like she's still gonna be, tripping a little bit, but we gonna see. Okay, now let's talk about Emily and Brennon. Child, Emily gonna be my problem child this season in Denver. I already know Emily. We're gonna have to do a lot of work with Emily, okay? And I don't know if she gonna make it through. And we're going to say a prayer for Brennon because I don't know. So we see them taking their pictures. We see Emily and Brennon sitting at their table eating, trying to see what they have in common. She's telling them about, her friends, and he's trying to guess their age. Emily's 29, Brennon's 28. So she's like, he's a year younger. She's like, ooh, plot twist. Then they asked about what each other drives, and I was like, who cares? And so she drives a Jeep, and he drives an Audi. She's like, ooh, power couple. And so then I think she brought up the whole bachelorette party, right? So she asked him, how was you doing at the bachelor party? And he was like, oh, it was cool, but, it's strippers, so I wasn't really into all that. So I don't remember. I thought Brennon enjoyed himself at that bachelor party, but I don't really remember. So anywho, she's like, oh yeah, I was taking shots I took so many shots. He's like, oh, you took a lot of shots? She's like, yeah, I took so many shots I did so many body shots after body shots off of the strippers. And he's like, you doing body shots after strippers? She's like, oh yeah, I was doing shots. It was just shots. And she was like, I think she said somebody told her she shouldn't do it, but yeah, I did too much. I was doing so many body shots. And I was like, Emily, be quiet. Emily, please stop talking. Emily, why did you bring this up? Emily, why would you tell this man what you was doing at the bachelorette party? Now, granted, he gonna see it anyway, y'all. So maybe that will soften the blow of him seeing it. So I'm not mad at that. But if she was gonna do that, at least act like you got some remorse, girl. Like, yeah, I did too much at the bachelorette party. I hope you will be okay with that. Like, at least do it or something. I don't know. She was just like, yeah, I did all these shots. Like, what it is. Like, I ain't mad at you, Emily, but I am mad at you at the same time because I don't know. And Brennon said, she's the life of the party. He's more reserved. They have a lot of service things in common. He hopes that, it will be okay. He looking like he kind of scared, okay? He looking like he kind of scared. And so later on, we did see Emily talking to his friends. And she was saying, like, first, they said first impression's good. She's like, I know, but y'all gonna grill me. And so they asked her about the whole, why haven't you been in any relationships or what's going on with that? Have you ever came close? And so she said she's done some hookups and some like dating around, but nothing too serious. And I was like, girl, why would you say hookups? Like, say situationships, Emily. Like, Emily is super blunt and direct as well. But Emily mouth gonna get her in trouble, okay? And the friends are looking like, ooh, no. I'm worried that Brennon's friends may not respect Emily, which will be too bad because I think she could be a cool person though. And maybe she might be good for Brennon. I don't know. But Emily, girl, you be talking too much. You need to like tone it down 2 notches, girl. So they was looking like, ooh, no. So she said, I know it could be red flags, but I could date. If I wanted to be with somebody, I could be with somebody, but I didn't want to just settle. Or she didn't want to just be with anybody to be with any old body. And she said she chose herself. And I don't blame her. I mean, you have to give situations a chance. But at the same time, like, you don't want to just be with anybody just to be. People who just want to be with any old body just to be with somebody, I can't get down with that. I could do bad all by myself is how I feel. And I'd rather have my peace to myself than be with somebody and be wasting my time. So she says she feels like she's ready now. She feels like all this time was, practice for what's to come. And so we see him talking to her friends, and they did ask him if he had concerns about, her situation with not dating. He said he did, but he's open to see, what happens. And he asked them, like, why hasn't she? And they just said that, she is the type that, like, if it's not for her, it's not for her. She don't sugarcoat it. She don't pussyfoot around. Like, she keep it pushing if it's not for her. But she does need somebody like Brennon to kind of get her out of her ways that she's been stuck in and that kind of self mode that she's been stuck in. They also did tell, Brennon's friends told Emily about communicating that he likes open communication. And I think that's the issues he's had in the past with women maybe not opening up to him. So making sure that like you're communicating correctly to him and being open and sharing your feelings and emotions or things with him. And so, yeah. So then later on, they did, I don't know if they asked, I think they did ask her about like, are they going to get it popping tonight? So she was like, we don't need to try to prove anything to each other. And we don't need to be like worried about hooking up. Like we can totally hook up because, we're married. So there's nothing to prove there. We could totally do that. And she's like, she's with it. If it happens, she's going to take his lead. I was like, oh, Emily, we know. And she's talking to her friends and she started crying. She's like, I just love to defend you so much. Oh my God. And so they were like, yeah, girl, you married. And so they were like, okay, so what if, he tried to get it popping, girl? And so they was like, do you got your handcuffs, your whip? You gonna bring out your red lingerie? So she said she gonna take his lead, and she did bring her handcuffs and her whip, but she forgot the key, so that might make it interesting. I was like, Brennon, be careful, Brennon. That's all I'm gonna say. Be careful, Brennon. Emily, she gonna be the wild card of this season. I already know. She gonna be the wild card. We already know she gonna be the wild one. It's gonna be some other ones that got a lot to them too. So that was pretty much it for them, I believe. Now let's talk about Lauren and Orion, because Orion, he gonna have a lot to him also. So Lauren and Orion were at their ceremony, and they did their first dance, and we did see them eating as well. And so Lauren was kind of not sure where to put her hands and everything, and so he told her, like, you could put your hand on the shoulder, and he said he knows how to dance because his mom was a Zumba instructor, so he knows how to dance, and he's also a grass dancer. So I was like, what is that? So basically, it's something like ancestral in the tribe he comes from, basically like the grass dancers. If you feel the wheat grass, and it's for when the people went and got the land, make sure they's gonna have food and resources, and I guess they would dance in the grass to kind of bless the land. Okay, so he be doing that. So she says she's excited, like pray over the land. So she's excited to see that. She was talking to her sisters later on, and they were like, oh girl, we see the connection, that kiss he gave you. She said she was shocked by the kiss. She was not expecting it. She also shared with her family that he reminds her of her mom. Like she gets the energy of her mom energy from him. And so she explained it better on the after party, because, you know, of course, you don't want to date somebody that reminds you of your mom, especially a guy. But what she meant by that is that calming feeling that he gave her was the same kind of calming feeling that her mom gives her, okay? And so she was explaining to Orion at the table when they were eating that her mom was like, you know, her closest person to her, and her mom's just very, very open, and her dad is not like that. Like, he's very loving, but he's opposite of that. And her mom's the type of mom that is like, if she was to, you know, do some drugs or something and, you know, do something really bad, she would be like, okay, how was it? And then be like, okay, girl, let's talk about it. So she was more of the gentle parent. Her dad is not. But, you know, she still loves her dad and all that good stuff. And so later on, we did see her talking to his family, and she was asking them, like, okay, is there any red flags or concerns you have about me? Like, I could take it. I could take a hit. And so they were asking her, like, is there any things, like, you know, maybe they should be concerned about, or any things about herself? And so Lauren did say that she does tend to seek a lot of outside validation from others. And so that's something she's currently working on. But like today with the wedding day, she's in a good spirit. She's feeling good about herself. And I did notice that, because she asked Orion last week and this week about his first impression. And finally, when they were dancing, he did say, like, he was blown away, like, oh my gosh. And she said she was surprised about how tall he was, and she wanted someone tall, and she wanted someone to dance in the kitchen, slow dance with in the kitchen as they make dinner, and that's what was given to her, right? And so I was glad he finally gave her some validation, because she definitely was fishing for that compliment. So when she said that, I was like, oh, okay, she knows she does that, and that makes sense. And so Orion's sister basically told her, like, okay, like, you know, if that's something you're going through, maybe, you know, recognizing that in yourself and letting Orion know, like, hey, I need some validation on this, so he can, like, be present to do that, basically. Communicating with him, basically. So Lauren received that. And on the after party, she said they were grilling her a lot about past relationships and things like that. Which I feel like is doing a bit much. Like, do that on the next episode when y'all sit down with the family. Don't do that at the wedding day. Like, you do a little bit, but not too much, right? So anywho, we do see Orion sitting there talking with Lauren's dad, okay? And this was the best part of the episode to me. So Lauren's dad said, you know, he told Lauren, you know, it's about 1,500 questions you need to ask somebody before you marry them. And he said one of them is, do they have a toolbox? And he's like, okay, so I know you fix stuff. You got a toolbox, so that's good to go so far. So, and that's something else Lauren wanted, somebody who was handy. So, excuse me. So, Lauren's dad, Orion, side note, before I forget, when they was doing the speeches, right, Lauren's friend went up there and said, let's give it up for Lauren on Orion. I was like, who is Orion? And then Lauren was hollering, Orion. The other speeches was good too, but that was the funniest part, okay? So then, like I said, Lauren's back to that scene. Lauren's dad was talking to Orion, and Orion was explaining that, he's been doing the trade of electrician work for the last 8 or 9 years. And he's also getting his real estate license. And so, let me backtrack. When him and Lauren were talking when they were eating, he did, because, she was talking about her mom, and then he brought up the fact that he didn't really want to bring it up, but he had to tell her that he's still living with his mom because he's working on his real estate license. And so she was like, okay, like, what are you doing with that? Are you saving up money or what you doing? And so he did say he's saving money. I was like, oh, I mean, times was hard. And so she said her friends did ask her, like, what if he living at home with his mama? And she said she's okay with that as long as they're like, you're saving money and you not just like bumming it basically. So, which I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. Because times are really, really hard. And so she said she told her little sister, because I guess the little sister moved out from one of the parents' house soon. And she was like, you shouldn't rush to move out. Like, you don't have to. Like, there's nothing out here but bills to pay. And I was like, well, that's very true. I agree. Like, if you're at a good at-home living situation that you can tolerate, because sometimes living with parents or elder family can be difficult because they stay house, you gotta follow their rules, you may not have the freedoms you once had. So if it's comfortable, you're able to save your money, they ain't got you paying a bunch of rent and bills that you don't need to be paying, and it's working out where you can save to really get on your own thing, I would say do it. If it's not worth it, though, like your peace or your freedom or whatever situation, then no. I think it just depends, But let me know what y'all think about that in the comments. Like, would you date somebody that still lives at home with their parents? It definitely is situational, right? I think it's definitely situational. So, okay, so we still talking about Lauren and her dad and Orion, the dad. Lauren's dad and Orion, sorry. So Orion was saying that he also has his license for electrician work in New York, as well as his real estate license in New York. And so the dad was like, "What, you're from Denver, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I always wanted to move to New York. I always wanted to, have a house in New York, have a house in Denver." And he was like, "So do you see yourself settling down here or in New York?" He said, honestly, he would love to move to New York, and he he would have a house in both places. And so the daddy said, well, now that you have a family, including my daughter, like, how does that, you got a wife, so how's that going to work, right? And so Orion said, I gotta sneeze. Okay, it went away. So Orion said, he was looking like, oh, okay. Like, well, I don't know. And so he was like, not once in that plan, this is what the daddy said, right? The daddy said, not once in that plan did you mention my daughter or how are you going to include her in your decision making. It's not just you, it's both of y'all. And he didn't like that. So Orion was like, kind of like stumbling over his words. And so the dad said, okay, what are your expectations for a marriage? And so Orion was like, he's like, well, I grew up in a matriarchy. And so he was like, what, come again? The daddy said, say that over. He's like, I grew up in a matriarchy. And so basically where the women ran everything. And I don't like being told what to do. So I would like to be in a situation with mutual respect for each other. Like, I don't want to be in a situation. Basically, he don't want to be in a situation where the woman is running all over him. Oh, and he also told Lauren that he never dated anyone his race, and she never dated outside of her race. And I'm wondering if Orion not being black is going to be an issue later on. It could not be, but I'm wondering about that. Looked like some cheating allegations in the previews though, y'all. We gonna see. So right there with talking to Lauren's dad, he also told Lauren's dad that he never dated anyone his race because of the matriarchy system of his Native American tribe, and he don't want to be told what to do. So then the daddy was looking at him crazy. And so, but I appreciated dad getting into him. And so, cause he looked like he don't know what he talking about. And so then the dad said, you know, ultimately you don't need my approval. Like, this is already a done deal anyway. So, you know, you're going to do what you're going to do. Only time will tell. And so Orion said, but I do want to get your approval, sir. And so that's good. He want to get the daddy's approval, I guess. We saw them, you know, dancing, having a good time. The families, Lauren's family really, really supports her marrying Orion. And I like that the most, okay? If we know it's gonna work out or not, we don't know. Anyway, y'all, that was pretty much it for the episode. If it's something I missed, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll talk to y'all again soon. I'll see y'all Friday night and Saturday night for some own shows. Bye.